What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host Donovan Quick, and this morning I gave you guys the top position battles to take a look at tonight in tonight's preseason game. And right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you the top key players to watch in tonight's game, and let's get into it. Number 1, Patrick Paul. And yes, it's cheating a little bit. I'm going with our second round pick, and I might cheat a little bit throughout this, but there's gonna be some that are cool. Patrick Paul is a guy that we don't necessarily think off rip is gonna get a lot of playing time this year. He was brought in as a developmental guy, but let me tell you this: in the past 2, maybe 3 years, how many times have we actually started our 4th string tackle? I'll give you a hint. It's been a lot. And for that reason, I think it's important that we watch Patrick Paul's development. Particularly, he's probably going to get the start tonight because I highly doubt Teron Armstead's going to be out there. And if you go back and you look at our history, right? Last year, we started our 4th string tackle. Because, look, let's face it, I love our guys. I do. I love our 3 tackles in front of him. I do. I trust them. But Teron Armstead has never played a full season in his entire NFL career. Austin Jackson has never played a full season in his entire NFL career. Kendall Lamb has been injured each of the past 2 years at one point or another and has missed games. So yes, I want to make sure that our 4th string guy is going to be able to be a plug and play at one point, because it's going to happen. Now, it looks like Kendall Lamb is going to be the swing tackle. So if something happens, Austin Jackson needs to, take a seat. Teron Armstead needs to take a seat, and we need both Kendall Lamb and Patrick Paul to play. That's who I'm going to be keeping an eye on, making sure Tua's blind side is protected. And speaking of offensive line, number 2, it's going to be my brother, Liam Eichenberg. No, he's not actually my brother. We just look a lot alike for whatever reason. But Liam is going to be slated as our starting right guard. However, with the injury to Aaron Brewer, there is a lot of confusion as to what could happen, because our best center left on the roster is Liam Eichenberg, and that is not something I'm comfortable with. So it's going to be interesting to see Liam, whether he's at right guard, whether he's at center, whether he's at left guard for some reason. I want to keep an eye on him, making sure that he's comfortable, making sure he's taking everything all in. Because when we drafted him, he was a left tackle out of Notre Dame. Now he's playing center for the Miami Dolphins. Boy, oh boy, does life come at you fast. So yeah, Liam is a guy that I'm watching and I'm keeping an eye on. And I'm keeping an eye on that position in general. But if you watched my position battles video earlier today, you would already know that. And that kind of brings us into number 3. Number 3 being Lester Cotton. Lester Cotton probably going to be starting at right guard tonight, because once again, we don't know the extent of Aaron Brewer's injury. We don't know if he's going to be able to play. We don't know if starters are going to play, period. Lester Cotton is the first backup on the board. Now, I'm not sure how much playing time he's going to get. Now, I've heard coaches rave about him in practice, saying that he has been very, very stable. And look, I like the coaches. I trust them. But let's face it, they spew a lot of BS to us fans about don't worry about the offensive line. We have faith in them. And we know that's just a bunch of crap. So Lester Cotton is someone that can see some serious playing time this season. And he was injured some of last season too, and he got some serious playing time there too. So it's going to be interesting to see how exactly he fits in, if he's going to play right guard, if he's going to be the backup to Liam, if he's going to be the starter over Liam as they shift him to center, depending on what happens with Aaron Brewer. Now we're going to keep it on the offensive side of the ball as we go to Jalen Wright. That is number 4 on our list. Now, Jalen Wright, look, same thing as our left tackle spot, same thing as our guard spot. We're probably going to be using the number 3 running back a lot. And now we don't necessarily know if he's going to be the number 3, number 4, number 5, but we know he's going to be on the roster. We traded a 3rd round pick for him, and he's been doing good in camp. However, we know Achane missed a lot of games last year. We know Mostert has a really extensive injury history. We know Mostert's a little bit on the older side. We know Achane's a little bit on the smaller side. Now, given I'm one of the proponents for saying Achane's injuries were both freak injuries, it was just 2 injuries. One where he was sumo slammed into the turf on his shoulder that ended up in a AC joint injury, and then another one where he got a helmet to the side of the knee that caused a knee injury. Both freak accidents, both freak injuries. It is what it is. But the fact of the matter is he did miss games. So the concern still lies there for some. So I'm speaking for the some that have the concerns about Achane. But regardless, this isn't a one-man backfield. They always use two guys, whether it was 2 years ago with Jeff Wilson and Mostert, whether it was last year with Achane and Mostert. If one goes down, they're going to use two. And the depth of our running back room, unlike, in seasons past, is actually pretty good right now. And I'm interested to see how Jalen Wright has improved from OTAs. Now, one of my biggest things for him when he was coming out of college was his lack of vision, which is like the complete opposite of Achane, because Achane has elite vision. Achane can see the field very well and is very decisive in his cuts, whereas Jalen Wright is a little bit slower in that aspect. Now, Jalen Wright, a bigger, more physical running back than Devon Achane, kind of brings that Mostert element to it. Not as good with his hands, not as fast, not as decisive. However, he is very fast still. He has good blocking ability. He is a bigger running back, and he can still catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can still run routes. So I'm interested to see how well he does. I'm interested to see his usage. I'm interested in see not only how much he's used, but where he's used and how many different ways he is used. And yeah, we're going to keep it along with the rookies as I'm talking about this, and we're going to go ahead and go into number 5, and that is Malik Washington. Yeah, yes, I know. Another rookie pick. Ooh, sorry. But Malik Washington wasn't going to make this list before today. And the reason why is very simple. We're really beat up at that position. Waddle is hurt. He's probably, he's probably able to play through some stuff right now, but it's preseason, so why would you? You have Odell on the PUP list. You have Berrios, who has missed back-to-back practices. You have Eric Ezukama has missed several practices with an undisclosed injury. So now you have Craycraft and Malik Washington. They're going to be battling it out. But we already kind of know what Craycraft can do. He's a very reliable guy, not as fast, but can, get open in certain spaces and has a very good catch radius. Malik Washington, on the other hand, has a lot of speed, has really good hands, has great route running ability. But I want to see that on display in the NFL. And he might get the opportunity against some starters. And he had a very good week of camp. And he's probably going to go ahead and get the start with Craycraft in tonight's game, because I don't think Tyreek's going to play. Waddle's probably not going to play. Odell is definitely not. Eric Ezukama is definitely not. Berrios is probably not. So you're talking about 5 of our top receivers not playing. That gives Craycraft and Malik Washington, Braylon Sanders, all the opportunity in the world to go and get it. And we already know what most of those guys can do. I'm interested to see what Malik Washington can do and to watch him show us what he can do. Show us what you got. And I'm very interested because I think he could be a really good asset to this team, being used in motion with his speed. The options are endless. And with that being said, we're going to move over to the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to be talking about number 6, Quinton Bell. Now, Quinton Bell is someone that really I didn't even know was going to make the roster 2 months ago. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't. When we brought in all these pass rushers, the only one I really knew was the guy we brought over from Tampa Bay. Shaq Barrett. Only guy I knew that we really brought over for the outside linebacker position was Shaq Barrett. Everybody else was kind of okay. And then Shaq Barrett went off and retired. Now we have Emmanuel Ogbah. That's all well and all, but we needed someone opposite of him. And we've been needing a second pass rusher, and we just happened to get the second pass rusher when Shaq Barrett retired. So now we're down back to 1. And Quinton Bell is someone that really he started popping off in practice for his size. And both in a good and bad way. He's very, very tall, very athletic build. However, he is thinner for an edge rusher. And if you guys want to know, he was a receiver back in college up until his junior year, where his coach on the defensive line was like, hey, I think you can make the NFL if you come with me and play defensive line. And what do you know? He's on the top of the depth chart for the Miami Dolphins. And he has a real opportunity to make a good impact this year. So I'm interested in to see what he can do this preseason, particularly tonight, against a very good offensive line that Atlanta has. And that brings us to our number 7 guy, another edge rusher. And I'm cheating a little bit on this one, but Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson is 1 spot behind Bell on the depth chart. And we're going to we're going to see who can win this battle. Like I talked about it a little bit in the position battles, but Chop Robinson, I want to see how well his technique has improved. And I made a video earlier this offseason talking about, look, let's pump the brakes on the Chop Robinson praise. Like, everybody was like, oh yeah, he's winning defensive rookie of the year, blah, 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 blah. He's looked great in camp. Like, look, guys, it's training camp. And he's going against our backup tackles. He's going up against Patrick Paul. So I expect him to beat Patrick Paul. I do. But when he went against Atlanta, a couple of times he won, a couple of times he got put on his ass for the reason that he doesn't have his technique 100% down. And look, that's okay. He's a rookie. He is supposed to be raw, and he's going to build that technique with our coaches and with the Miami Dolphins, and he's going to get better as the season goes on. It just is what it is. We saw Jalen Phillips, who is a very polished pass rusher coming out of college, and he didn't really kick it into gear until the second half of the season in his rookie year. So I don't expect Chop to really come out the gate and blow us away, but I do want to see how much he has improved since training camp and to see him against someone other than a backup tackle for the Miami Dolphins. And I want to see him get a sack. I really do. I want to see him show us what he got. I want to see if his hands have improved. I want to see his elite get off, like just absolute explosion off the line of scrimmage. I want to see that. And hopefully that's what we will see. And that brings us to our number 8 guy. And now this is a guy that I've been a proponent for many, many years. A lot of you guys have lost faith in him, so shame on you. Shame on you for losing faith in our boy, Nik Needham. Nik Needham, just 2 years ago, was the best nickel corner in the entire NFL. You can argue with the wall. He was the best nickel corner in the entire NFL. Byron Jones gets hurt, has surgery. Nik Needham forced to play the boundary, still played at a very, very high level. Per PFF was a top 24 corner at the boundary position. And then he tore his Achilles. And now look, when he came back last year, he didn't exactly look like his old self, but you don't expect that out of someone coming off of an Achilles injury. It takes time. And for that reason, I want to keep an eye on Nik Needham, because a lot of you guys, a lot of you experts out there have him not even making the roster. Well, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, he's not only making the roster, he's not only going to be the best backup you'll ever be, he's going to be the number 4 corner on this team. Behind Kendall Fuller, behind Jalen Ramsey, behind Kader Kohu. And at one point throughout the season, he might even take over for him because he's that damn good. He's that good. I got faith in my boy. He's going to make a comeback. I haven't lost faith in my boy Nik Needham. Watch Nik Needham. Watch him. He's going to show y'all why he deserves his respect. Y'all forgot. Now look, an Achilles injury is devastating. He tore it towards the middle of the season 2 years ago. Came back last year, in the middle of the season. Never really got an opportunity to battle for a position on the team. Still made the team. And they're like, oh, would you like to be a safety? Would you like to be a corner? He's like, I'll do whatever you need to do. Because he's that kind of guy. He's a team player. He'll do whatever he needs to do to see the field. He's that good that he can go and play safety. He can go and play nickel. Y'all remember Bobby McCain? He's better. And I love me some Bobby McCain. Bobby McCain was great in the nickel, great at free safety. Guess what? Nik Needham's better. Nik Needham can play anywhere. You want him at boundary, he'll go play boundary. You want him at nickel, he'll be the best damn nickel corner you'll ever see. You want him at safety, he'll be a safety. Nik Needham, y'all better watch him. All right, done my Nik Needham rant. On to number 9. And that's going to be who, ironically enough, is competing with Nik Needham, Ethan Bonner. And now Ethan Bonner, our white boy corner, one of only 2 in the entire NFL, one of only 3 white DBs in the entire NFL. He has shown out and showed up in camp. He's been very, very impressive, and all of the players have been raving about how big of a jump that he's taken this offseason. And look, I can't argue with him. He's been doing great. He's been doing great things. And if you even go back to the Kansas City game in the playoffs last year, he forced a fumble. Bet a lot of y'all didn't even know that. Y'all probably have the games turned off by then. Yeah, Ethan Bonner got in there, and he did very well in the negative weather, the negative 30-degree weather. He went out there and he did his thing. He's still an undrafted rookie that year. And he still, he had the confidence. He had the speed. When he was in there last year, he did good. And I got faith in my boy. But we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see him. He's competing for a roster spot. He's also competing for that number 4 corner spot along with Cam Smith, Nik Needham. Cam Smith currently injured, so it's really between him and Nik Needham at this point. But yeah, that's what I got for y'all today. Those 9 key players to watch. I have a few others that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for, but they're a little bit more niche. So if you wanted to know who they are, just drop it in the comments below if you watched this far. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell, get notifications for what you've watched, and be on the lookout tomorrow for a video from either Jacob or I on a recap of the game. Deuces.